Hello and welcome to Your Neighborhood Show. I'm Carolyn, and Your Neighborhood Show is about drawing out amazing stories of everyday people, of times in their lives when they have felt both connected as well as disconnected. Because that's the nature of life itself. We aim to normalize both connection as well as disconnection. None of us escape disconnection at some point in our life. So let's welcome it, experience it, and celebrate it. Because if you don't experience disconnection, how can you experience the magic of connection? Hello and welcome to Your Neighborhood Show. I'm Carolyn, and our guest today is an amazing man. His name is Julian Jakobs. And I first met Julian in 2013, I think it was, or 2014 when I joined Toastmasters. And we've got lots of standing jokes because one segment in Toastmasters was when you could tell a joke. And I remember telling this 13-minute joke, and it's been our standing joke between us and many others, but mainly between Julian and me on Facebook, and always brings a smile to my face. But Julian's got an incredible story, and it's been such a privilege getting to know you, Julian. And I'm so excited for our listeners, all of you, to hear Julian's stories, because it's there's a mix of lots of love and lots of heartbreak as well. And it's not uncommon for many of us in our lives, but not many of us want to share it and be so generous in sharing our stories. So I'm really, I feel really lucky that you said yes, Julian, and thank you for being here.
Thank you. Pleasure.
So how are you feeling right now?
Really good.
Good.
It's good to see your smiling face.
That's sweet of you. So like we always do, we start off with your childhood to give our audience a bit of a context of your entire life, because our childhood generally explains a lot of, about us. So tell us about your childhood. I know you moved around a lot as a child with mom and dad, so I'll let you.
Okay. Well, I was born in Sumatra in Indonesia in 1961. My dad worked for a British agricultural company and worked on 5 different rubber plantations in Sumatra from 1955 to 1963. And my sister was born in 1958 and I was born in 1961. So to give you a bit of a timeline, we were in Sumatra from 1955 to 63, as I mentioned, and then we moved to Sydney because the government at the time wanted all the expats out of Indonesia. So we were on a boat en route to New Zealand, but my mother was pregnant with my youngest brother, David, and we first made port of call in Australia in Brisbane. We spent a day there, and then we moved on to Sydney, and apparently the seas were so rough that Mum and Dad decided to get off the boat in Sydney, and we were in Australia permanently from that point on, till Dad got a job in Cape Rodney, which is in Papua New Guinea. It's about 200 kilometres southeast of Port Moresby, and we lived on the coast in a very remote clearing for the sawmilling. But for Dad to get experience...
Sorry, I didn't get a remote clearing...
In Cape Rodney in Papua New Guinea.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I missed a word anyway.
Okay. So in order for Dad to get experience with sawmilling, we went up to Port Macquarie for 3 months.
Sawmilling, that's what
sawmilling,
I did. Experience with sawmilling,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah. So he went from rubber plantations to sawmilling. So we went to Port Macquarie where Dad went to a place called Wauchope, which is nearby, to learn all about sawmilling. So we were there for 3 months. And I remember we lived in this little beach shack, and every day Mum went next door to get her used the next door lady's washing machine, and I used to go with her and have a cup of tea. And I used to chat with the little old lady next door, and I think that was a few times a week anyway, I used to do that.
And how old were you at that time?
I was about 4.
That's so sweet, a 4-year-old going and having a cup of tea.
Yeah, and actually enjoying it.
And you remember this lady? Kind of.
Vaguely, yeah.
Okay.
There's a photo, but I haven't been able to find it for this interview. But that was one memory I've got of that time. So then we went to Cape Rodney, like I say, it was very remote. And it was at this time that my sister was sent to England to live with her grandmother, because Mum and Dad wanted my sister to have a better education and also have somewhere to stay and also to look after my grandmother, which I thought was a bit odd because she was only 8 at the time. So we stayed in Cape Rodney from 1966 to 1968, so a couple of years. And then Dad was poached by, well, not poached, but approached by the same people and asked if he would be considering going to West New Britain, which is an island off Papua New Guinea. It's the same island that Rabaul is the capital of. Some people may have heard of that. And to start up an oil palm plantation in Mosa. It's called Mosa Plantation. So we went there. And again, same thing, in the middle of a forest, remote, miles from anywhere. And we lived in tents initially, but then there's this timber house built for us, which still stands today, that we moved into. So it was the first house built in that plantation. And
so I remember you saying it was a clearing in a forest with like a stream going at the back and stuff.
Yeah. So it was virgin rainforest. Today you'd frown upon it because you're clearing all this virgin rainforest to put in a monoculture of oil palm. And we had this, it was an idyllic childhood because we lived in this house. I made friends with all the native children. We used to play in the creek and catch shrimps and things like that. And Mum used to wash the clothes in the creek. I remember all these washing suds coming down the creek, and I yelled out, "Mum, can you stop doing that? I'm trying to find shrimps." You know? So that was a vivid memory I remember from that time. But it was great because I hadn't started school yet, so you just roam through the forest with your friends, and it was just great.
I could actually visualize that as you were saying it. Suds coming down the stream and kids playing. It sounds really beautiful and pristine. Kind of.
And carefree, I think is a good word.
And what about the children, Papua New Guinea kids? Did you hung out with them? Like there wouldn't have been anybody else?
No, there wasn't, because we're so isolated. I remember learning to speak Pidgin English really quickly, and that's how I spoke to the locals. They spoke English, I guess, but it was the favoured language was theirs.
And did you feel any different because you were a white Aussie? And
No, not at all. I was accepted, and there was mutual respect back then. You didn't even think about colour or
Isn't
culture
that amazing?
or
When you're children, you don't even think of, you don't think that you're different because you're not different.
You're not, that's right. Yeah, we enjoyed each other's company. It was great.
Okay, keep going.
Yeah. So we stayed in Mosa Plantation from 1968 to 1974. And during that time, Mum and Dad used to go back to Australia where they had a house in West Pymble. And I remember on one occasion they enrolled me at the local Catholic school, which was called Our Lady of Perpetual Succour. And I went there in kindergarten. And I remember meeting my friend, Conrad, who I still have as a friend, and he still lives in West Pymble with his wife and family.
I find that amazing.
Yeah, it is, and it's rare, and it's a precious and treasured relationship that we have.
So you've known Conrad from the age of
6,
and till today you're still in contact with him.
Yeah,
Fabulous.
as recently as last month. Yeah,
that's like gold.
It is, and we both treasure it. Yeah,
and especially for men, I think women have long-term friendships, but for men, I mean, I'm sure there are because you have a long-term male friend, but it's not as common for men as it is for women. Is that
right?
Am I right?
I'd say that's generally the case.
Yeah,
and that's why I'm blessed to have Conrad and others as long-term friends. But
and you're going to tell us as we progress how you've been able to maintain contact with him.
Certainly.
Yeah. Keep going.
So we used to to and fro between Sydney and West New Britain, and Mum and Dad tried several different forms of education with me when I started. So when we were in Sydney, I went to Our Lady Perpetual Succour for about 6 months to a year. Then we go back to Papua New Guinea. And Mum tried correspondence. Firstly, they tried the local school, which was it must have been about 40 minutes, through the bush, and I'd have to be picked up by a Land Rover every day to go to this school.
This is Papua New Guinea?
In West New Britain,
yes.
Yeah, Papua New Guinea. And there was expats at the school, so it was a mixed classroom, open classroom from, I think, kindergarten to year 6. So we'd have one. It was just one teacher. And after a while, Mum and Dad said, that's not a good idea. Let's try home correspondence. So me being the entrepreneur that I am, used to do all my schoolwork by Wednesday, which means I could have the rest of the week off and play. But Mum and Dad soon cottoned onto that and said, right, no, you can't do that. So they sent me to boarding school in Sydney with my sister. We both went to boarding school. And
how old were you at that point?
I was 9 when Mum and Dad sent me there. And that was a terrible wrench for me and my sister. And I remember feeling abandoned. I had this feeling of, we don't want you here, you have to go somewhere else. This sort of letting go of your mother's apron strings. But age 9 is very young to let go of your child, I think. And I suffered a lot from homesickness, and I was with a cohort of other boarders who were in a similar situation. So whilst we didn't cry on each other's shoulders, so to speak, we had that commonality, and there was a very strong bond.
Did you write to Mum?
We had letter writing sessions once a week, so we'd go off and write a letter to your parents. And I remember asking Mum and Dad to please get me out of here, please bring me home, because going from Papua New Guinea to Sydney, that's like going to a different planet. It's just totally different.
Absolutely.
Very regimented,
and 9
very
years
disciplined.
Old, at such a tender young age.
Yeah, exactly.
That's like grade 4 or 5?
It was grade 4, yeah. So I was there for 3 years, grade 4 to grade 6, boarding all the time. And we used to go home during the school holidays, which was great. We always looked forward to that because going home in itself was an adventure. Flying to Port Moresby, then to Lae, then getting on a DC-3 and flying around the island of West New Britain.
Did you cry a lot? Did you cry a lot?
Yeah, I cried when we had to go back to boarding school. It was very upsetting.
Yeah.
It took me about a week to get over being homesick. And then I was back into the groove with everyone else.
And what about the other kids? Was it co-ed or just boys?
No, just boys. Yeah.
How did they deal with it?
Well, that was the same as me. I think they just had their quiet moments to themselves. I mean, I didn't openly cry in front of people. It was usually when the lights went out at night in our dormitory, I had a bit of a cry. But during the day, you're fairly busy. So they kept my mind off being homesick.
It's a difficult... I mean, I remember my brother went to boarding school at grade 6. And I know that he also felt a similar way to you. However, we used to go about 3 times a year to visit him in his school.
Yeah.
And Mum and Dad, when we used to take big, huge trunks of what they call their tuck shop food.
Yeah.
In all he got the best food, better than girls got at home.
Yeah.
So he was compensated in that way, or at least he felt compensated. But it nonetheless it's a huge separation from parents, and I don't think our parents realized at that time. It was quite common for parents to send kids to boarding school.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. So anyway, it was not. Yeah. I'm pretty sure it wasn't a deliberate. It was just a way of coping for them.
Yes. Yeah. Everyone has their own mechanism, I guess. Yeah. Letter writing certainly helped, and every week I get a letter from Mum and Dad, so that was treasured as well, waiting for that letter to arrive, which always.
And then you said you also wrote a letter to Conrad's family. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, every weekend, some of the boarders used to go away with either friends or family or people that had met at school, and I had no one in Sydney. I was just stayed in boarding school every weekend. But on this particular weekend, it was a long weekend, and I remember on a Monday writing a letter to Conrad's parents saying, "Can you please? Would it be good if I could come to your place this weekend?" And I didn't hear anything all week. And so I was resigned to the thought, well, maybe they didn't get the letter, or it was too late, it was inconvenient. But on Friday afternoon, I remember walking down to the boarding house, and there was Mr. Kovacs, Conrad's dad, with Conrad and his siblings. And I thought, isn't this fantastic? Yeah, I was so pleased and so happy. Then I thought to myself, well, we haven't got permission yet, then maybe I won't be allowed to go because it's so late. But that was all just a formality. That was fine. So that was good. I spent the weekend with them. It was so good.
Oh, that's obviously a big memory for you.
Yeah, it was. It was really good. What else can I tell you? I had a teacher there in Year 5 called Graham Norwood, and he was my favourite teacher ever throughout high school. The whole thing, just that one teacher. In the beginning of year 5, he came up to me and said, "Oh, we're going to have a good year this year, Jakobs, aren't we?" Everyone was called by their surnames. And he didn't favour me or anything. He was good with everyone, liked him, but he just knew that I was homesick. He knew I was from Papua New Guinea, which he had connections there as well. And I think he just took me under his wing a little bit, and he was into model airplanes, and so I really took on to that. And I connected with Graham about 45 years later in Albury.
Wow.
And we had lunch together and talked about times at boarding
Did he
school.
remember you?
Yeah, he did. Yeah. And I mean,
How did you find him?
I found him through a mutual friend. We had a plumber in Albury that knew him, and I knew that Graham had told me about this family in Albury that he was connected with. So I just rang them up and he said, "Yeah, well, this is his contact details." So
That's amazing.
He lived nearby. It was great.
So 40 years, did you say?
45 years.
That's amazing. Kind of shows the connections when you're in a boarding school, how you connect with people, because in the absence of your parents, you Graham, did you say his name was Graham
yeah,
Norton?
Yeah.
As a teacher, you would have looked at him as almost like a father figure.
Surrogate
kind of thing.
parent, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. And that strong connection was there, and in your memory, and then many, many years later you go and so boarding school builds strong connections.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it builds really strong bonds because you are reaching out more on a personal level for connection or for empathy, commonality, that sort of thing. Yeah.
In the absence of your primary connections with your parents,
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
we are social creatures, and so
Of course, yeah.
we look for connection every which way you can get it, and so that's a good plus point.
Yeah.
That you had him is what I meant. Yeah, that you had Graham. Yeah.
Yeah, Graham. Yeah, he's good. I made lots of friends at boarding school. Again, we're talking about that commonality, you form strong bonds. And I had one friend called Toby Jones, whose parents were from South Africa, and we made friends, and I reconnected with him 48 years later. And it was really funny, Carolyn, because I sent him an email. And I said, "I don't know whether you remember me. I'm Julian. We used to hang around together at boarding school." Because I left in year 7, so I thought, well, maybe he's forgotten about it. But he wrote back straight away saying, "Of course I remember you." And we had this long chat. In fact, we rang each other up, and it was like the 48 years didn't even exist. We just talked as if it was yesterday. Resumed our friendship.
So what made you? So you're the one who's reaching out and trying to connect with both your teacher as well as Toby.
Yeah.
What made you do that so many years later?
I think when you retire, you look for your connections. This is my experience. When I was working and bringing up a family, and you've all your concentrations are channeled into other areas or concentrated into other areas. So I think you put all those friendships
on hold,
on the back burner. And now that I was retired, I thought, well, one of the things I'd like to do is reconnect with people. And I've reconnected with a few during that time, during the last 4 years, and it's been very rewarding, and both parties have absolutely loved it. And,
you're right, actually. I remember myself after my marriage broke down, just reflecting on my life. I had kind of, not cut off, but hadn't maintained connection with many of my school friends, college friends, even family and cousins.
Yeah.
And then I suddenly had more time on my hands and a different stage in my life, and I just felt like I wanted to reconnect with the strong relationships that we had as children growing up.
Yeah.
You know? And so it was again like the time hadn't passed.
Yeah.
So you build up those connections, and I think when we're younger, the relationships we build are without any motive.
Yeah, exactly.
So they're so pure
that
when you reconnect at a much later age, it's like as if there's no time has passed.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. But it's interesting. Not all attempts worked.
Yes.
Some people wrote back briefly, and you could tell they didn't really remember you. Others wrote back sort of saying, "Well, yeah, I sort of remember you."
So you tried with a few.
Yeah, I did. Toby was the most successful one out of the boarding school ones, and the others were a little bit hesitant. So whilst I tried to nurture them, I realised that they weren't going to work, so I didn't pursue them any further, and they haven't come back. So that's fine.
Yeah.
People,
absolutely.
maybe they want to let go.
They might be in
some
another
reason.
stage in their life,
Exactly.
or dealing with stuff that you don't know about. Yeah.
But I'm glad Toby did call back, because he and I did have a really good connection.
And are you still Still?
Yes, yeah. In fact, he lives in New Zealand now, and he's been to see us a couple of times, and we're yet to go and visit him. Yeah.
That's so lovely.
It's good,
yeah,
isn't it?
yeah. I mean, it's really refreshing to hear that men like yourself have reached out and reconnected and, done what you've done. So thank you for sharing that.
Oh, thanks. That's a pleasure. It's so rewarding too when one works.
Well, 2 have worked for you, not just one.
A couple, yeah.
Yeah,
that's
so
right.
That's a good rating.
A good success rate.
And in boarding school, you've already told us about your boarding school. So how long were you in boarding school for? How many years were you there for?
I was there for 3 years and 1 term.
Okay.
And then Mum and Dad decided to leave Papua New Guinea in 1974 because they could see that there was going to be troubles with their independence in 1975, which proved to be correct. So they came back to Australia, and because Dad was suddenly on a lesser paying job, he took us out of boarding school and sent us to the local high school, which was called Taramara High School.
Right. And that was in Pimble again? So you're back in Sydney now?
Back in Sydney now, and Taramara is a suburb just north of West Pimble.
Okay, so you stayed in that same house that Mum and Dad had?
We just caught the bus.
Were they renting that out while you were away, or no? It was just...
No, it was always kept open because they'd come back infrequently. Yeah.
And how was Taramara school different to boarding school?
It was the polar opposite of boarding school. It seemed to be the parents who couldn't afford to send their children to private schools sent them to Taramara. So there was a very big rough element. There was a drugs problem. The teachers, you could tell a lot of the teachers didn't want to be there. It was like going to the Bronx, It was quite rough. So I was there for about a year, and consequently whilst I made friends while I was there, I didn't make any long-term friends that I could call on now.
And so when you were in boarding school and then going from boarding school to... so you went back to Papua New Guinea, you said?
No, Mum and Dad came to Australia permanently.
Yeah.
And left their job behind.
Mum and Dad moved back here.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
So you didn't go back after boarding school. You just went from boarding school to Taramara.
Correct.
Mum and Dad came here. Okay, got it.
Yep.
And you said you didn't make any friends in Taramara.
No, I'd made friends, but not any long-lasting ones because I was only there.
Are you in touch with any of them?
No.
Okay. So all in all, boarding school was pretty good then.
Yes, it was. In the end, it was.
Yeah, comparatively.
Yeah. But the thing was, in the end, I didn't want to leave. All those letters I writing to Mum and Dad initially saying, please take me out.
Yeah.
At the end, I didn't want them to take me out because I was secure and comfortable and...
Correct. I think boarding school gives you structure and discipline. There's a lot of discipline in boarding schools because they have to. I suppose that's how they manage so many children. Yeah. Whereas when you're at home, it's important. Discipline and structure for children, routine is very important for kids, and they can do that really well in a boarding school.
Yeah, boarding schools run like what I imagine a military operation would be run like. It's very regimented. It's very strict. Lots of routine.
Tell us a bit about the routines.
Well, for example, a typical day, you get up at 7 o'clock, go have a shower, get dressed, go to breakfast. All together, we all marched in 2 lines up to the breakfast hall, have your breakfast, come back down together back to the boarding house, brush your teeth, get ready for school, go to school with all the day boys, and do your normal 9 to 3 school day, and then in the afternoon we'd come back down to the boarding house, get dressed into our day clothes, we called them, or our play clothes, brush your shoes. You always had to brush your
shoes. Polish your shoes?
Polish your leather shoes. Then
that's a good habit.
Then get them inspected. Yeah, tell people today that.
I know. That's why I'm saying it's a good habit. So do you still polish your shoes?
Occasionally.
No, you don't wear shoes that need to be polished.
Yeah, I've learned not to wear leather shoes.
Yeah, I remember polishing my shoes for school. We had to have leather shoes, and we would we had these little black round things, and we had to dab your thing in it and then shine it. I still love shining my shoes, actually.
Yeah.
I think because my dad was in the army and he always had pristine uniform and everything looked perfect. So we kind of got trained like that. Without him, no formal. We didn't have to do it, but we kind of just did it.
Yeah.
And we ironed our uniforms these days.
Wow.
It's very different these days, but yeah.
So I'll just finish the typical day.
Sorry, I interrupted
so
you.
after we polished our shoes, we'd go and play for, I don't know, an hour or so, just amongst ourselves. All the boarders would play. And then the bell would go. There was always these bells going off. So the bell would go and we'd have to go back up to the boarding house, have a shower, get dressed back into our school clothes, go up to the dining hall for dinner.
In your school clothes?
In a school uniform, yeah. And then after dinner, we'd be marched off to the classroom, one of the many classrooms, and we'd have an hour or 2 hours of what they called prep, or homework, as it's known these days. And then after prep, we'd be marched back down to the boarding house, get dressed into our pyjamas, and in not March, but we'd walk up to our dormitories, of which there is about 20 beds in each dorm, according to ages, and we'd play for about play board games, card games for about a half an hour or so before lights out. And lights out, everyone had to go. You couldn't start reading or anything. You had to go to sleep. So that was a typical day, and that was day after day. And on weekends, very similar, except more playtime instead of school. And we played sport on Saturday mornings.
And you said you had a brother. You've got a brother as well. And so where's your sister at this point?
My sister's in a girls' boarding school in Sydney. Can I say the name or?
Yeah, you can, in your sister's name or your boarding school's name?
Yeah. Yeah, my sister's name's Verna. She went to Winona School for Girls, and I was at Cranbrook Boys' School. So it was about a half an hour by bus and train, half an hour, 40 minutes. But when you're young, that seems like on the other side of the planet.
Could you all get out of boarding school and meet or no?
No. We very rarely saw each other except for agreed by both schools for us to meet with relatives or friends that they knew about. There was no...
So you were alone in your boarding school and she was alone in her boarding school. And where was your younger brother?
My brother came about 2 years later and joined me in...
the same boarding school?
Same boarding school, yeah.
And are you close to your brother, Julian?
When we were growing up, we weren't close. Boarding school, I sort of looked out for him a little bit, being the elder brother, but he made friends quite rapidly. But during our formative years, we weren't close brothers. We had a lot of fights. But now, as adults, we are quite good friends.
And what about Dad? How's your relationship with your father? What kind of interactions have you had with Dad growing up?
Yeah, Dad was a bit of a strange beast, a bit of a non-present father, I think you'd call him. Dad was quite strict, was authoritarian figure in the house, used to deal out all the punishments. And Dad was really into sailing. That was his passion.
Into sailing?
Sailing, yeah. He absolutely loved sailing. He talked it, breathed it, and lived it. And he encouraged my brother and I to join him on his sailing pursuits as crew on his boat. And what should have been a really good time, a really good bonding for all of us, turned out to be exactly the opposite. Because when Dad got on a boat, he became this different person. He became angry, aggressive, super competitive.
Why is that? Why do you think?
I have no idea. I think he just wanted to be really good at it. He wanted to excel. He wanted to have something he could tell all his friends about, that he was good at this thing that he absolutely loved. And my brother and I were dragged along for the ride, pardon the pun. So we grew not to like it because Dad would yell at us and make us feel really uncomfortable on the boat. And I remember one time we were in front of the Albury Yacht Club where we lived at the time, and I said to Dad, if you keep yelling like that, I'm going to jump off and swim to shore. So he kept on yelling, so I jumped off and swam to shore. And he was really embarrassed because it happened right in front of the yacht club where everyone would have been watching.
Oh, wow.
And that didn't
What did your brother do?
He just laughed, I think. But just going back to it, if we'd both, or if Dad had a different attitude and we both loved sailing with him, Dad would have... It would have been a great...
What an opportunity.
It would have been great. Yeah, it would have been so good because we used to go away for regattas in Canberra and Melbourne, and it was a weekend away for the three of us.
Such an amazing opportunity for father and two boys to bond. And
what families have that sport where they all can...
A luxury sport.
Participate,
yes.
That's right. So I look back on that with a lot of sadness because I think what should have been a good time ended up being anything but, hence the story.
Do you
I'm
have
telling.
any happy memories with your father, Julian?
Dad was always there for the important stuff. He was there when he helped me move house once, I remember. He said how proud he was of me when I had good school results, that sort of thing. But I wish we had a closer connection, because I don't think it was very close.
What about uni? How was uni for you? So how old were you when you were going sailing with Dad?
Yeah, that was about ages 14 right through to about 16 or 17.
Very formative years too.
Yeah, very formative years. And it was during my high school years, and we were living in Albury then, which is a beautiful town if you don't know it. And it should have been good, but I mean, I ended up playing cricket and playing with my friends on the weekends, that sort of thing. Dad really wanted me to go to the sailing club with him and do sailing, but I resisted that quite strongly for a lot of the time, and I think Dad was disappointed that I didn't want to sail with him, and he didn't understand that his behaviour was the root cause of it not working, which is really disappointing.
Yeah, obviously you'll never understand why your father was angry, probably from his own childhood. Nobody knows.
Possibly, yeah.
But absolutely a wasted opportunity to to spend quality time with his two boys.
Yeah.
And what about your sister? Did she ever go sailing with you?
No. She was never included. Well, there's three.
Why was that?
3 crew. Well, I think Dad just wanted the boys on the boat because he could control us better. My sister was a bit older, of course. She's 3 years older. So I think, and she wasn't interested in sailing at all, ever. So I don't think Dad wanted to include.
So it was just like a boys thing that
more
you all
of a boys
did.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you went to uni.
Yeah, I went to uni. I finished school in 1979, and I actually worked for 2 years because I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I worked in Albury for 2 years, and as various jobs, lawn mowing and working in a RSL club for a year. And then I went to the Uni of New South Wales in 1982 to do landscape architecture. And I went to college for the first year and reconnected with my friend Conrad, who was also at the same college.
That's beautiful. So you meet him when you were about 4 before you went to Papua New Guinea, and then you caught up with him again then when you were in boarding school, and his parents came and picked you up.
Yeah.
And now you're seeing him. Did you meet, was he in Taramara with you?
No, he went to private school. He's one of the rich kids.
The lucky ones. And then you reconnect with him just accidentally.
No,
at uni.
I knew he was going there, and that was one of the reasons I chose.
But it wasn't
college.
Planned that you were going to uni together at the same time. It was just he went there and you went there. Yeah.
But the course I did was at that same university, so it wasn't my choice to go there. I had to go there because I did landscape architecture.
Yeah, that was the only uni that had it. Possibly.
Yes, in Sydney. Yeah.
Wow, another chance connection with Conrad, and so it's kind of kept you all connected, I suppose.
Common thread throughout my life has been
so
Conrad.
tell me about uni, a bit more about uni.
Uni, I loved uni. Uni was really good. I was there for 4 years, and like I say, I was at the college for the first year, which it's good being at college because you meet everyone from all different walks of life, all different careers or courses that they're doing. So you get a real blend of different perspectives and things like that. So that was good. And I think it introduces you to university life much better if you're actually there on campus. And I was probably one of 2 or 3 on college people that went to my course. All the others were day children and they were living with their parents still. So I think, it was good to just have that connection, and also at the end of the day just be able to walk to college, where say the day kids had to drive back to their homes.
So did you say you were you were living at uni, at campus?
In a college, yeah. You have colleges on campus.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Right.
So it's like a boarding school for uni.
A little bit like boarding school.
Yeah,
but more free. You're more free.
And you met your first wife in uni?
No. I met Linda, my first wife, while I was doing those 2 years of working in Albury. I met her at the RSL club there, and that was a very quick and tumultuous relationship, I guess. Not tumultuous, it's very strong. We bonded very quickly. I told her I was going to go to university, and she wanted to come up with me, and I said, well, let me just go to college and just see how that works out. Anyway, she came towards the end of my first year, and we both went into a flat and flatted together. And we married in 1984. So 2 years later we married, or the next year we married. And
how was that relationship?
yeah, it was good. We both really loved each other and got on quite well. She was working full-time, I was studying full-time, so the hours didn't really gel in terms of having a lot of time together. But after about a year of being married, she announced that she didn't want to be married anymore. She didn't love me and she wanted out. So that was very devastating to me, because I got this sense of abandonment again that we talked about earlier. And I thought, why? When you're both in love and one person falls out of love.
Did you see it coming?
No, it was like a very blind.
Wow. That
was
would have been a
blindsided by
real like a shock.
It was a shock, and it took me a long time to accept it. You know, they talk about the 5 stages of grief, and I spent a lot of time denying that this was actually happening, that she'd come around to her senses and we'd resume our normal relationship, but it never did. She pulled away more and more. Despite all our attempts to make it work, we moved to be with her mother for a little while in Werribee, and then we moved to Brisbane, where she had family, and thought the change would do us the world of good. I was about to start my new career, new job in Brisbane. She got a job.
So is that when you permanently moved to Brisbane?
Yes.
And
yeah.
you've been here since?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So a change of place doesn't mean it's going to improve. You just take your problems with you.
Correct, yeah.
So nothing changed in that regard. So after, I think it was only 6 months, she left, and I think she went to England, and I was left in Brisbane with a new job. I just bought a new house.
How was that for you?
Terrible, because you're just there by yourself without
You're in
any
a new
connection.
place.
Yeah.
You've moved from Sydney to Brisbane.
That's right. Yeah, Sydney to Brisbane.
And your
via
wife has
Melbourne.
left you.
Yeah.
Did you know anyone in Brisbane?
No, only people I worked with, and typically you don't like to include your friends in.
So how did you deal with that? I mean, how old were you at this point?
I was about 25 at this point. Wow. So still quite young.
Yeah.
And
so you got no family, you've got no friends. You're dealing with a divorce.
Yeah.
Did you have you had a new job?
Yeah. So everything was new. Newly separated, new job, new house.
So how did you cope? What did you do?
I found having a house, a Queenslander house that needed renovating was my saviour, because on weekends and at nights after work I'd just go and paint.
You had
this
a distraction,
house.
yeah.
Yeah, and it was a really good distraction, better than watching TV, because you're actually physically involved and thinking about what you had to do. So I renovated that house for about, 4 to 6 months. And every night after work I'd go get on a spatula and do what I had to do. And it was really cathartic too, because you'd see progress, you'd see things happening, and it was a good distraction, like you say.
And did you make friends quickly in
Brisbane? I made friends at work, which then became my social friends outside of work. So that was good in a way, but I didn't have many friends outside. Well, I don't think I had any friends outside of work.
So is this the same job that you stayed in for a long time?
Yeah, I stayed in that job for about 26 years.
Yeah.
And in 2013, we all got retrenched by the then LNP government, and I had to find employment, and I did with the Moreton Bay Council in Strathpine for the last 8 years of my working life.
And then when did you meet your second wife, and how did that come about? How did that happen?
Yeah, well, when I lived in Brisbane by myself, I used to go back to Albury to visit my parents about once or twice a year. Now, it was on one of these occasions that my father told me that there's this lady from the US that had just come back to Australia. She was also a landscape architect, but she had 2 young children from a previous marriage, and she was living in Albury. And I was really interested, because I thought, I wouldn't mind coming back to Albury and having a career here. And if she's already doing it, why not find out how she's doing it and how that works? So I went over to her place and knocked on the door and thought, hello, this is interesting. She had a partner already, so whilst I had a bit of a chat with her, she told me that she was already had a boyfriend. So I went back to Brisbane and sent her some flowers, and she responded. And we had a long-distance telephone
Brisbane
relationship.
and Albury.
She was still in Albury. I was
You in
back in
yeah.
Brisbane. But within 6 to 8 months, she moved up to Brisbane with her 2 young children into my little house that I'd just renovated. And
How old were the kids?
they were 2 and 4 at the time.
Wow. So you...
So one day I was a bachelor and the next day
Next
I
day
had an
you had a
instant
full family.
Yep.
And you didn't even have to change nappies at
For
that
a little
point.
a little while.
So how old are you now? I mean, not just now, but at that point.
At that point. At that point I was about, let me see, I was 89. So I was 28.
Okay. So at 28, you've now married for the second time and you've got...
Oh, we didn't marry straight away. We lived together for a few years and got married a bit later. Yeah.
Uh-huh. And you've got 2 children, 2 young kids that are not yours, that were your second wife's.
Yeah.
And did you have any children with your second wife?
Andrea and I had 2 more children together. Jessie, who's a girl, and Rory, who's a boy.
Okay.
Yep.
And how long were you married? How long was your second marriage?
Altogether 19 years we were married for, and together for about 22 years.
And how was that?
Well, with that relationship, looking back, even at the time, there's a lot of red flags sort of screaming at me saying, look, pay attention, this is possibly going to not be good. And I look back at my marriage as the relationship as an impending disaster, 19 years in the making. Because I looked back and, like I say, there was a lot of red flags. She had 2 children from a previous marriage, which isn't easy. Well, it wasn't easy for me. I got cold feet about the whole situation just before she arrived, which is another red flag. She responded very callously to the recent news that my best friend had committed suicide, which was another red flag.
This was all before you got married to her?
Yeah, we were living together. And then I had a beloved cat that died suddenly, and she was very callous about that. She announced to me that her children would always come first, no matter what.
Wow.
So I was down the pecking order as far as that was concerned.
She said that to you?
Yeah, several times. She made it very clear that her children would come first. And I should have taken that and run, but I didn't. We never had friends for dinner, and we didn't have any mutual friends, which is a huge red flag.
What made you go ahead with getting married to her?
Well, I think the sadness of losing my first wife, not losing her, but the fact that she left and I was still in love with her, I still had residual longing for her. And Andrea was the surrogate, if you like, that replaced her. Even though it was 2 years later, it was still a rebound when I look back at it. And I think I was looking for a stability which a single mother with 2 children would provide me. And I thought in the back of my head, she's not going to leave me. She's relying on me for the stability, and I was relying on her for the same. But that's not the way to have a relationship either.
No. And we're not wise when we're young, are we?
No, we're certainly not.
We don't think. I mean, I have a similar kind of situation as I explained to you.
Yeah.
In love with my boyfriend, and he dumps me, and I was all sad, and then I meet my husband, and it was like a whirlwind romance, and I think I married my husband on the rebound as well. But look, I've got 3 beautiful children from that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so your relationship with your second wife wasn't any good memories there?
Initially, we like all new things, you are finding out about each other, and we did have happy times. There's no doubt about that. But there was, like I said, there were so many red flags and lots of regrets that I have about it looking back. And
what kind of regrets?
Well, we weren't a good match. I mean, I think she'd even agree if she looked back, and probably has, looking at the things, because of all the red flags that I mentioned previously, we weren't a good match. She's really interested in wealth creation and spent a lot of time doing that with property portfolios, which we were both into, but she did all the book work and everything, but that took a lot of time, and it took a lot of time away from the family. And the regret I have now is that we didn't spend that time with our young children. And I think that's come back to bite me in some ways.
Tell me.
Yeah. Well, I've lost contact with them. When that marriage ended, my two children decided to take my wife's side, my ex-wife's side, and the daughter, Jessie, she hasn't spoken to me for 12 years. And Rory, even though we made an initial contact, not initial, but some contact, he's decided recently that he doesn't want to have any more contact with me because he can't handle it and doesn't want to. He's still feeling cut up about the fact that I left the relationship 12 years later. And he's...
How old are your children now,
Well,
Julian?
Rory's 28 now and Jessie's about to turn 30. So they're young adults. And I presume they've both had relationships and had disappointments and things. And I was hoping that they'd over time be able to see my perspective. But Jessie hasn't even wanted to see my perspective. Rory, I've told Rory my perspective, but then he's did this big turnaround and decided that he doesn't want anything to do with me. So really disappointed because when they were young and we were growing up as a family, we had a lot of good times together. We laughed and we played. I played their games, and I was a present dad, unlike my father. So because they've now cut me off, I feel really shortchanged, abandoned again, by my own children. So this thread of abandonment, I don't want to sound like pathetic or anything, but it's this reoccurring theme, if you like, and it's just so disappointing when you know you've got a good thing and you know that we did have a good relationship. It wasn't strained or forced or anything. We definitely had a good time together, and now that they're young adults, you think they'd remember that and want to resurrect it.
They're still young adults, and miracles happen, I believe.
Well, I'm hanging on to that.
Yeah, so there's absolutely, it's not the end, it's not yet the end in the sense that, they're still in their 20s and you have no idea why they're doing what they're doing, or you think you have an idea, but...
Yeah.
I think, how do you cope with that on a day-to-day basis, not being able to be in touch with your kids?
Yeah, it is difficult. What I do is I compartmentalise. So if I find myself thinking about it, I quickly stop myself, wrap it up metaphorically and toss it to one side and become busy with something. So my mind goes off that, because I think if I sit and dwell about it, knowing that I can't do anything, that's the problem. It's so frustrating knowing you can't do anything or you don't have any control. So I force myself to do other things, and that's worked. That's been a tremendous help.
And you tried to contact your daughter a few times, isn't it? You've done everything you possibly could, from writing letters to emails. Did you email?
Well, initially I started with the emails and the messaging, but she sent me a message saying she's cutting me off electronically. And that's the trouble these days. You can be cut off so easily. So I did my old boarding school trick. I started writing letters. But the thing with writing letters that aren't returned is you don't know whether she's getting them, whether they've been cut off by my ex-wife, or if she's getting them, whether she's reading them or anything. So it's really hard to know what her reaction to the letter, if she's getting it at all.
And when was the last time you met her physically?
12 years ago. Yeah. Just before I left.
That's heartbreaking.
Yeah, it is. She was 18 then. So at the end.
Do you know have you seen pictures of her?
Yeah, only by trawling the internet and finding out where she works and looking at their website, and as opposed to photo of her. So she looks different. It's still the same face, but yeah, she looks a little bit different, more mature looking. But just extremely frustrating, very sad. And I know a lot of fathers and parents have problems with their children, but losing your child like this without the contact and them not wanting to contact you is extremely disappointing.
And they're here in Brisbane.
Yeah.
And they're so close, and yet you've got no contact with them.
That's right.
Have you gone to, have you seen any, do you get counselling for this, or how do you?
Yeah, initially.
Well, you said you throw your stuff.
Yeah. Well, that was a result of going to a counsellor, because I was just bereft. I was so upset that they didn't want to contact me or have anything to do with me without listening to my side of things, and also knowing that we had a good relationship, that they wanted to throw that away. So I went to see this counsellor who over a period of 6 or 7, probably 4 or 5 counselling sessions, helped me with this compartmentalisation idea, which has really helped.
Wow, that's a really sad. I'm so sorry, Julian.
Thank you.
I think one of my sons, my older son, we had a major disagreement at one point, and he decided he didn't want to talk to me for 3 months.
Yep.
And I think I cried every single day
Yeah.
of those 3 months, and it was one of the worst experiences of my life, worse than my divorce.
Yeah.
So I really empathize with you on that.
Thanks.
12 years of no contact with your children.
Yeah, it's a long
Rory,
time.
you said you recently...
Yeah,
you weren't-
we reconnected. That was a bit strained as well because even though he knew my phone number, I'd have to make the initial contact. But when we talked on the phone, it was fine. And we met a couple of times for dinner and lunch. And again, that was as if there was no problem. But when he cut me off with a really long message saying how much he didn't like me, he mentioned that each one of those meetings and phone calls was tough for him. He was acting. He knew I wanted to have a relationship, and he was just playing along to try and appease me, which really hurt even more, that the fact that he admitted that he was just acting, and and the reason he never made contact with me is because simply he didn't want to. And it's extremely disappointing. Yeah.
I read somewhere, I can't remember where, about in trying to repair a relationship with, I think I was listening to a podcast or somewhere where a similar situation to you, where a parent was estranged from her children, where she was advised to then just continue writing letters to them, but instead of posting them, putting them into a box.
Right.
So you get to process your thoughts and your feelings about your child on paper. It's like almost like a therapy.
Yeah.
And then you put it into a box. And at some point later in life, if he or she finds that box, she's got all those letters
That's
there.
a good idea, yeah.
So
I might take that on board.
whilst it kind of works as a way of therapy for yourself, because you get to write your feelings and thoughts and share your love for your children on paper.
Yeah.
It's also there because if you post it, it's gone. You don't know where it is
Exactly,
and
yeah.
whether they'll even get it or whether they get what they're doing with it,
Yeah.
They might have moved house, God knows. But if you've got this in a box at some point, maybe they can,
Yeah. That's a good idea.
I just thought I'd share that because I remember.
I regret not taking copies of the letters that I sent now.
Because it's
anyway.
it's like diarizing your feelings and expressing your love for your children.
That's right, which is important.
And then there's another, I just feel compelled to share these two because I'm just, like, I don't know how I would deal with it. There's no closure. It's not like with suicide or your child dying, you can get some kind of closure, but when your children are still alive and you've got no contact with them, that's like, how do you deal with that? You know?
Yeah.
There's this old ancient Hawaiian forgiveness exercise called Ho'oponopono. And there are 4 sentences that you say. You kind of imagine that you close your eyes and imagine that your child or the person that you want to forgive or heal with, the relationship is sitting there in front of you. And you say these 4 sentences and it's, I'm so sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And you just keep repeating it. And it's supposed to actually work miraculously in many situations it has, where energetically they get the message, the other person gets the message, and miracles happen.
Yeah, you're putting it out to the universe.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Because we are all energetically connected.
Yes.
So you just keep saying that to your children.
That's a good idea
Imagine
too.
them on a daily basis and just say that. For whatever reason they think that you've hurt them, you're asking for forgiveness.
Yeah.
Even though you may not have felt like you've done anything. For them it's very real and therefore they've cut themselves off.
No, that's very true. And the other thing is, as I've always mentioned, is that rightly or wrongly, that's their perspective.
Yes.
You can't change that.
Correct. And for them it's very real.
Yeah.
So
I acknowledge that and I respect that, but at the same time, I'd like to be able to talk. Yeah, I'd like to talk to them about that.
Okay, we will change the topic.
All right.
And now we come to a happy point in your life.
Yeah.
When you've met your lovely partner, Judy, whom I also know.
Yeah.
And she's such a delight, and I'm so glad I met you both at Toastmasters. So and recently met you all up at Mullaney, of course, which was, I can't tell you how happy I was to see you both and reconnect, talking about reconnection after many years, and
Yeah.
both of you all just sharing yourselves so generously and authentically with me. I'll start crying, but I left feeling really connected to you all, you
Good.
know, so.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, and I don't know why I'm crying because I think not many people share so openly these days, you know, and you're both really opened up to me and shared your lives with me, which is why I asked you whether you'd be on my podcast.
Yeah.
So tell me about Judy. How did you meet Judy, and what's your life like now?
Yeah. Well, meeting Judy was like metaphorically the skies opening and the sun coming through. It was a really lovely point of my life, because when I was married to Andrea, I thought that was my lot in life. I thought, yeah, this is the way people talk to you. This is the way people treat you. I thought that was normal. I'd forgotten what true friendship and true love with my first wife was like. Well, the happy times there. So after 19 years of being in this disappointing relationship, Judy comes along, and we realised that we had a lot in common. We've become soulmates, and we both acknowledge that this has been the right time for us both to meet. It may have worked earlier, it may not have, but now is the right time. And now that we're both retired, we can really enjoy this relationship. We have lots of laughs together. We got lots of mutual friends. Everything that my marriage wasn't seems to be in this relationship. And it's all about connection, which we've been talking about, but it's also about being able to talk. We talk a lot. We talk about all different sorts of things. Sure, we read books and we get on our phones from time to time, but we like going for walks. We like we've got so many things we like doing in common. We've got so many friends like yourself that we have in common. And we're both very social people, whereas my second wife is very introverted and very much a homebody. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just doesn't suit me.
Yeah.
So Judy comes along, and it's just fantastic. Life all of a sudden becomes meaningful.
Yeah.
And something that you look forward to every day. It's just it's a pleasure. And Judy's really easygoing, and we just have this really easy relationship. It's just a joy.
You're very blessed in that respect,
I am.
Julian, and so is Judy. Both of you are. And I whenever I see your posts on Facebook, wherever you all are going here, then Judy often shares what you all have done. I just think to myself, I just think how lovely that is, and I always think of you all as a couple who are in love with each other, bringing love into the world. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
You both are doing your part to add love to the world.
Thanks. Yeah.
Just to rewind back to your children, if you could say, and hopefully they might listen to this podcast, I don't know, but if they do, what's something you'd like to say to them? If you could say anything to them, what would you say to them?
Well, if you don't mind, I've written a letter. Could I read it?
Oh, absolutely.
Yep. So, as we've mentioned, one of the biggest regrets in life is not having a relationship with my two children. And I'd like to read this short letter which I wrote. So it goes like this. My dear Jessie and Rory, I've been thinking about you both so much, and I feel that I needed to reach out. It's been 12 long years since Jessie and I last spoke. And more recently, Rory decided to step back as well, even after we begun to reconnect. I'm truly sorry that things have ended up this way. Please know that I love you both very deeply and always will. When I think back on your childhoods, I remember the fun and loving times we shared. Those memories are some of the most happiest and most precious in my life. It makes me very sad that we've lost touch, because I feel we're all missing out on something very meaningful and special. Life is short, and more than anything, I hope that somehow we can find a way to reconnect. Even something small, a coffee, a call, or even just a message, would mean the world to me. There's no pressure, only an open heart and a wish to be part of your lives again. With all my love, Dad. That's it. look, I realise there's a lot of parents in a similar situation. I'm not the only one. And I feel for everyone who's in this sort of situation because it's extremely difficult.
Thank you, Julian.
You're welcome.
You've got me moved, as I'm sure everyone. And as you said, there are lots of parents out there that have been estranged from children.
Yeah.
And it's not an easy thing. Probably one of the worst things.
Yeah, for sure.
What's been your biggest lesson in life?
Crikey. There's so many lessons I've had. Look, it's going to sound corny, but just make the most of every day. We've only got a short life. And when you're with someone that's supportive and loving, and special in your life, it certainly makes your life a lot better.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Julian, for sharing your life with us. I really, really appreciate it. And I hope your children listen to this podcast and get their love for you.
That'd be good.
Yes. And look, you've got an amazing partner in Judy. And I love watching your sharings of your travel that you'll do all the time. And now you're in an idyllic place in Maleni, which is beautiful. I mean, I wish I could live up there, but my grandchildren are down here in Brisbane, so they're the strongest pull for me. But thank you once again for coming today and sharing your life with us and our audience. And I wish you all the best.
Thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Thanks.
Thanks, Julian. So if you liked what you just heard on Your Neighborhood Show, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment because it would really help us get our stories out far and wide. And as you can see, everyone has an amazing story of connection and disconnection at times in our lives. And we don't need to think that somebody else has a better life than ours because every one of us has an amazing life. So go ahead, press that like button, subscribe, and leave a comment. Thank you.